You've arrived at Ritualistically Botanica. My name is Mo. I'm your host. Today I want to talk about something nobody puts on their vision board. Everybody wants the manifestation. Nobody wants the process. Everybody wants the healed relationship, the successful business, the spiritual awakening, the weight loss, the dream house, the soulmate, the enlightenment, whatever shiny thing is currently pinned to their corkboard and surrounded by little gold stars. Nobody wants the part in the middle. The part where you feel stupid, the part where you feel weak, the part where you feel scared, the part where you're halfway up the mountain wondering what bright idea this was in the first place. Here's something I've noticed after 70-some years of stumbling around this planet. Almost every strength you possess is sitting right on top of a wound. Not next to it, not near it, right on top of it. Your birth chart knows this. In fact, your birth chart has been trying to tell you this story since the day you were born. People love to say, we aren't born with a manual. That's nonsense. You were born with a manual, a living one, a breathing one, a manual that unfolds one page at a time as you age, whether you're paying attention or not. It's called your birth chart. The signs, the planets, the houses, the aspects, all of them are telling a story about where your gifts live, where your challenges live, where your blind spots live, and most importantly, where your medicine is hiding. And here's the irritating part. The medicine is almost always buried underneath the wound. Life enjoys hiding the treasure under the dragon every single time. Take learning something new. You feel stupid before you feel competent. Take exercise. You feel weak before you feel strong. Take healing. You feel cracked open before you feel whole. And grief, you feel like you will not survive it before you discover you already have. The process is built into the design. You don't get the mountain view before the climb. You get the climb. Then if you stayed, the view. And that's where most people quit. Not because they're incapable, because they mistake the climb for failure. They think the soreness means they're doing it wrong. They think the fear means they shouldn't continue. They think the doubt means they made a mistake. No. The doubt is often part of the process. The fear is often part of the process. And the discomfort, the swamp, the mud, the crossing you didn't see coming is often the most important part of the process. And let me tell you something about swamps. Everybody's got one. There is a river of shit somewhere in every life. There is a muddy crossing somewhere in every story. There is a dark night somewhere in every hero's journey, including yours, including mine, including the person you think has it all figured out. You don't get a special exemption because you're spiritual or because you meditate. You don't get a special exemption because you own 17 crystals, 3 tarot decks, and a singing bowl you use twice. You're still crossing the swamp. The question isn't whether you'll encounter it. The question is whether you'll recognize where you are when you do. If there were one tarot card for everything I'm describing, it wouldn't be the Tower. It would be the Strength, because strength isn't about being fearless. It's not about having everything under control. It's about being willing to feel stupid while you learn, willing to feel broken while you heal, willing to keep walking even when you're not entirely sure you're going in the right direction, willing to encounter the swamp because you understand somewhere in your bones that the road continues on the other side. That is the astrology of suffering. Not punishment, not fate, not cosmic cruelty dressed up in retrograde announcement. Growth. Your chart doesn't show where you're broken. It shows where you're being asked to become strong. Same address, different story, a much more irritating assignment, but a far more useful one. We humans often want the treasure map. Then we get annoyed when the map includes dragon swamps, steep grades, and a bridge that looks like it was engineered by someone with a grudge. That's not a flaw in the map. That's the journey. And this is where the moon becomes your most honest teacher. Most people pay attention to full moon. Some pay attention to a new moon, and a few notice eclipses and feel very sophisticated about it. Then they completely ignore the rest of the cycle, which is funny because the most important lessons are hiding in the phases nobody talks about, especially the first quarter moon. That's the phase where the universe looks at your brand new plan, your shiny new beginning, your exciting fresh start, and says flatly, are you serious? Because that's when resistance shows up. That's when fear shows up. That's when exhaustion shows up ahead of schedule. That's when the voice in your head starts acting like an unpaid consultant with strong opinions, terrible timing, and absolutely no solutions. It's the point where people abandon perfectly good dreams because they mistake resistance for a sign to quit. Sometimes resistance is a sign to quit. Sometimes it's a sign to continue. Wisdom is learning the difference, and that difference matters. If the house is on fire, leave. If the relationship is abusive, leave. If the situation is genuinely toxic, leave. The moon is a teacher, not a prison warden. Use common sense. But if what you're experiencing is simply discomfort, that comes from growth. And that's different. That's not a warning. That's a workout. And workouts hurt. Hikes are hard. Mountains contain rocks. Creeks contain slippery places. None of that is evidence you chose the wrong trail. That's evidence you're on one. I learned that hiking in Puerto Rico. There came a point where the path got steep, the rocks got loose, the creek got slick, and every part of my body started negotiating terms and conditions with the rest of my body. At no point did I stand there and accuse the mountain of being unfair because it contained mountain things. The mountain wasn't doing anything wrong. I was simply experiencing the mountain. Life works the same way. The first quarter moon is where you find out whether you actually want the thing you said you wanted. Because wanting the view and climbing the mountain are not the same activity. That's the lesson the moon teaches every single month on schedule without apology, whether you're paying attention or not. And here's what I want you to understand. You are always somewhere in this cycle, always. Not stuck, placed. The phase you're in right now is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It will shift. It always shifts. So let me walk you through all 8 phases, what each one is asking of you, and which crystals to reach for when you're in it. Here's a note on crystals and the moon. Crystals capture light. Light is energy. Energy is photons, and photons carry vibration. Here's what most people don't realize, that vibration doesn't stay inside the crystal. It comes out of it. Crystals receive vibration and they emit it. That's not metaphor. That's physics with good taste. So when I say place a crystal at each phase, I mean set it outside or on a windowsill under that specific moon phase. Let it drink that phase's frequency. Then carry it with you. Work with it. Let it remind your nervous system what energy you're trying to move in. Here are the phases. New moon, time to plant. The void before the beginning. Intention without evidence. You don't need proof yet. You need a seed and the nerve to bury it. Crystals, black tourmaline, clears the old so the new has somewhere to land. Then comes the waxing crescent spark. The ignition phase. The idea has left the station. You're excited, you're energized, you believe it, at least today. Protect that flame, feed it. Carnelian is the crystal. Raw, creative fire, forward motion, the yes before the doubt arrives. And then comes the first quarter struggle. Resistance shows up right on schedule, fear, obstacles. This is not a sign to stop. This is the phase doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Stay. The crystal's tiger's eye, courage under pressure, helps you make clear decisions when fear is loud. And then a waxing gibbous, refine. Almost there, and that's exactly where perfectionism loves to ambush you. This phase asks you to adjust, not abandon, trust the work, sharpen what needs sharpening. Don't blow up what's already built. The crystal for this, lapis lazuli. Wisdom and discernment helps you see what actually needs adjusting versus what ego is just poking at. And then the full moon, the big reveal. What you planted is visible now. Results show up, and so does everything that was hiding underneath your intentions. The full moon does not lie, it illuminates. And the stone for this? Rose quartz. I like rose quartz, compassion for what you see, especially when what you see is yourself. And then you get the waning gibbous. It's integration time, the harvest phase. You've seen what's real, now you absorb it, share it, be grateful for it, even the parts that surprised you. Wisdom lives here if you're willing to receive it. And the crystal for this? Amethyst. Spiritual integration and higher understanding turns experience into wisdom. And then we get to the last quarter. This is about release. What no longer serves the next version of you has to go. This phase is not gentle about it. Something ends here so something else can begin. Let it be. Black obsidian is the crystal. Cuts cords, releases what's done, no sugarcoating. Waning crescent. It's time to rest. This is the surrender phase, the dark before the new dark. Restoration, integration, the body and spirit asking for quiet. This is not laziness. This is the fallow field that makes the next planting possible. And a good crystal for this is howlite. It calms an overactive mind, permission to be still without guilt. Then the new moon returns and you begin again, but you are not who you were the last time you stood here. And that's the point. You're always somewhere in this cycle, always not stuck, placed. The phase you're in right now is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Gear up. It's about to shift. That's all for today. I'm Mo. This is Ritualistically Botanica. See you next time after you've crossed the swamp.